When you get to the next line, you've got some that are in standard form. And this is the form that is the most tricky for the students. So you can either get a clean sheet of paper or you can use Desmos. I'm going to show you both ways so that you can see what you like best. But I do want to point out to you that whenever we're doing this, this is in the form of ax plus by equals c. The letter that stands for slope is m. Can you just point to one of these numbers for slope? No, you cannot. So you're going to have to do a little bit of work for it. So I'm going to do my work by hand first, and then I can check myself on Desmos. So I'm going to see if I can squeeze this in right here. Very tiny. Actually, that's probably a bad idea. So we can get a clean sheet of paper if you need it. Since I'm here at my table, I have the same yellow sheet of paper that I'm going to do an example on for you. And I'm going to recopy my question. 2x plus 7y equals 28. And now when I work this question, let's see if we can find our slope. So when we get it in slope, we want y equals. So the first step is to move your x's. To get rid of, to take off two x's, we can subtract them. If I subtract them from the left side of the equal sign, I have to do the same thing here. And I'm not going to put it right underneath the 28. I'm going to squeeze it in so that it would be in the form of mx plus b. If I have two x's and I take away two x's, I don't have any more x's on this side. They zero out. You have a zero pair. 7y equals negative 2x plus 28. And we're getting close, but we're not done yet. We have 7y's. I don't want 7y's. I want 1y. When a number and a letter are next to each other, that means multiply. To undo multiply, we're going to divide both sides. You have to divide the entire side. So we have 7. So that 7 divided by 7 is 1. And so you can cross that out and give me a 1. Do I want to write 1y? We don't have to say 1y. We can just say y equals. And then we're going to do 7 needs to go with both of these pieces. So we're going to break it apart by doing our heart. So we have negative 2/7 x. And then on this side we have plus 28 divided by 7. And in algebra, fractions are okay, but in algebra we also need to make sure that we reduce our fractions. Is there a number that can go into both a 2 and a 7? Other than 1, no. So it's just going to stay 2/7 x. But on this side we can reduce. What goes into both a 28 and a 7? 7. 28 divided by 7 is going to give us a 4. 7 divided by 7 is going to give us 1. So if I said 4 over 1, the answer is just 4. So what I'm going to do now is on my sheet of paper underneath that, I'm going to write the answer that I got, which was y equals negative 2/7x plus 4, just so I can have that there. So now it's in the form of y equals mx plus b. Who's in the m spot? Negative 2/7. And if I want to double check myself, we can get on Desmos just to make sure that we did the math right. Again, you'll be able to do this for yourself, and we can type in 2x. You should be typing this in with me. I got to get rid of my y equals 2x plus 7y equals 28. When you practice typing things in, that's also going to make it easier for you whenever you are doing it by yourself. So we can do this a couple different ways. So one way is, that's the equation, and we can see if it's equal to the equation that we found by hand. Y equals negative 2/7 x. Oh, see, that happened. We got to get out of our fraction so we can see a line. X, there we go, plus 4. And I don't see a second line, but did y'all see what happened? We had this red line, and when I typed in what we found by hand, the blue line went right on top of it. So what does that mean? That means that we did it right because they are the same, they are equal. on Desmos. Things that are the same are going to be in the same place. They're going to look exactly the same. So I'm going to zoom back in so I can get my table counting, or my graph counting by ones, and I'm going to show you also how you can do this by hand. Whenever we do slope, we're doing rise over run. From the left, the line is going down, so it is a negative. So we did good by getting our negative for our slope. And then this says go down 2 and right 7. So let's see if that is correct. And if you did not do this by hand, you could just type in this first equation, and you can just jump straight to counting rise and run by hand. So if we do that again, we got to find our good dots going through the corners of our squares. That one looks kind of close, but it's not exactly on that corner, so we're going to keep going until we find a really good dot. We're going to go over here. So our rise is going down 2, 1, 2, and then over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So how do we write down 2? We write negative 2 and then over 7. So you could have also gotten your slope by doing your rise and your run on Desmos. And several of you will like to just type it in and get started counting that way, and that is perfectly fine as well. You're going to finish up this second part on your own. Again, you can either do the heart method that I showed you on the post-it, and you can rewind to see that, or you can go ahead and just type this in, and you can start counting your rise over your run. And remember, if you go down, that rise should be a negative number. After that, you're going to pause the video, and you are going to work this section of the page. I believe I'm going to pick back up here on the next video on this one to remind you about how to do these. So pause the video and work the entire page up to that point, including this one right here. You're going to graph the equation above on the grid. So this equation, I want to see that line right here, but you're still answering what is the slope for each equation and answering if they are parallel, perpendicular, or neither.